Howdy y'all, back again with the chronology videos. Going to finish off 1976, and let's just get right into it. Grabbed a few books here from the period. I was beginning to spend my money on back issues rather than the off-the-rack stuff. I cut my off-the-rack purchases down from probably a dozen to 15 books a month to something like 3 or 5 maybe. But again, it was all about putting that hard-earned cash to the back issue books that I was just dying to get my hands on. And many of those were some classic Silver Age, into the Bronze Age. I was really into the 15-cent books at the time. I was buying the Silver Surfer and Neil Adams books, the X-Men and Batman stuff. Those were kind of my main drives at the time on the back issues. Here's a nice little book that appeared out of nowhere in 1976. Ragman #1. That was part of the beauty of being a young collector in these days. You didn't have all the hype leading up to books or whatever. All of a sudden, poof, they would just appear. You know, that was definitely part of the magic. Also in late 1976, I got my hands on my very first Bob Overstreet comic book price guide. It was that classic Will Eisner flag cover, Spirit of 76. And oh my goodness, I spent untold hours just plowing through the thing. And what I learned, what my eyes were opened up to, was just amazing. And the biggest thing that I got from the Overstreet guide was something that sticks with me to this very day, and that was the ability to grade a comic book. I know Overstreet has come to adapt the standards, I suppose out of necessity, has come to adapt the standards of the professional comic graders of modern age. But I am an Overstreet grader through and through, with about 40 years of experience doing so. I adhere to those Overstreet standards. Anyway, also in 76, I bought my first issue of Howard the Duck, and that was Howard the Duck #6. And let me explain to you that when Howard the Duck #1 hit the stands, #2 were on the stands, #3 was on the stands, I looked at the books with a lot of interest, really. Number three has some beautiful art by John Buscema. number 1 and number 2 are illustrated by the great Frank Bruner. Wait, number 4 here is notable because it was the first Gene Colan issue, and of course Gene came to illustrate the book all the way through to its sad demise. Number 4, key issue. There you go. There's that word, the key, right? But anyway, with Howard, I remember getting some updated lists, and all of a sudden I saw the Howard the Duck title on those lists for the first time. And the incredible thing that I could not wrap my mind around was books that I had just seen a couple of months prior were listed here for sale at $6, $8. Howard the Duck number 1, number 2, number 3. And I could not wrap my mind around that. Like, here I am paying $1.50 a piece for Silver Age Spidey and Neil Adams X-Men and Neil Adams Batman books. So how could a book that just came out a few months ago be $6 or $8? I could not wrap my mind around it. And let's be clear for all of y'all comic book historians. Howard the Duck number 1 and number 2 were the vanguard of what we now know and have known for 30 years, 35 years. They were the vanguard of the hot, super hot book. A book hits the stands, and a month later, it's selling for 10 times the cover price or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure you do. But that was Howard the Duck number 1 and number 2. Make no mistake. Let history reflect that. Please, let's not forget the significance of Howard the Duck. Anyway, I promised y'all a story about the first comic book that I ever paid double digits for. And this was in late 76, maybe early 1977. I'm a little fuzzy on it. But I bought it from a kid in the neighborhood. The kid's name was Rich. And he's the very same kid that I got that reader copy of X-Men 56 from. One day he wanders down to the house and he's got this comic book. And in my mind's eye, I don't have the book anymore, but in my mind's eye, I can see it as a very nice book, nicely centered, and probably a fine plus, maybe very fine minus, something like that. But it was Conan the Barbarian number 1. And, my heart just leapt out of my chest, when I saw the thing. Because anyone who follows my videos knows my deep, deep love for Conan at the time. And I knew I had to have it. So I kind of recall Rich and I looking at a couple of my comic book lists, and seeing what the price of the book was. And maybe if I hadn't have been so excited at the time, he might have given it to me, sold it to me even cheaper. But I'm sure my excitement was palpable to him. And I remember too, I only had a few paper dollar bills, and the rest I had to give him I had a glass milk jug that I had all my change in. So I gave him those few paper dollars, and then finished it off with a huge pocketfuls full of change. But I gave him all of $10 for it. And I remember showing it to my mother because I was so excited and proud of it. When I told her how much I had paid for it, she thought I had lost my mind. Oh boy, if I could only have truly made her understand how important the book was to me, and that I actually got it for a pretty good price. So there you go, Mom, if you're watching. Do you remember that? I bet you do, because you've got a memory just like me. Go on a little bit more here. A couple more Howards. The great Howard for President thing that was going on in '76. Yeah, the presidential race with Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter. It is of its time. Another thing that I want to talk about, I suppose the last thing I want to talk about here, is The Phantom. From Charlton Comics. These are my off-the-rack books. The last year or so of The Phantom was just absolutely incredible. Illustrated by Don Newton. You had these amazing painted covers, and the illustration inside, it was just incredible. And I will do a dedicated video here one of these days with the Don Newton Phantom title. Again, these are my off-the-rack books. I hope the camera's picking this up okay. Nice stuff. Here's the last issue, number 74. This is my off-the-rack, but I did show here a few videos ago that gorgeous near mint to mint white paged beauty that I was able to score back in the early 90s via the Comic Buyer's Guide. Nonetheless, there you go. Geez, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something here. I do realize I am kind of glossing over these chronology videos a bit, but I'm just trying to keep them concise and informative and engaging, and I don't know, and any kind of details that might want to present themselves in the future when I do some more dedicated videos. They will certainly just make themselves known then. Anyway, my friends, the next video is going to be the dedicated video to Tony Capilupo and Wolfhead Comics, the very first comic book dealer I ever met. I had a years-long relationship with Tony, probably a dozen years, all the way through to about 1989 or 1990. And these are absolutely some of my most treasured, most amazing, most incredible memories from the entire 40 plus years of my collecting history. But I will save that for the very next video. After that, we will get into 1977. So, thanks for watching, my friends. Thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate everyone's support. I truly do. It means a lot to me. I am really enjoying making these videos. They're very cathartic for me. When you get to my age, it's the importance of sharing all this information that you've gathered over, you know, a lifetime of collecting is very important. And I'm sure a lot of you younger folks out there now will feel the same way in 30 years. But I'll catch y'all again real soon. Happy collecting. Bye-bye.